Hello everyone. Welcome in this new live feed. I want to go a little bit deeper on a book that has been very powerful for me personally. I often spoke about it already in live feed, in videos, in conversations with people that I have. And that is a book called Letting Go of David Hawkins with the subtitle The Pathway to Surrender. And it has been a very strong book, very strong, especially if you're struggling with some emotional layers that you are experiencing some inside of you, like angerness, depression, feeling of resentment, angerness towards others in that own layer, like in that own self, in the body. And I want to go a little bit deeper. I will take my time um, together with you. I don't know. Maybe I'll make it 20 minutes, 30 minutes. Let's see how far we can go. And what I do is I often write down post-it notes within books when I was reading them, because then I didn't need my physical system with me, but it is based on the same system that I'm doing with all of my notes, which is called capture and create. I capture the ideas of what David Hawkins talks about without me putting judgment upon that or thinking about what it means for me. I'm just reading the whole thing and it's like, wow, let me just write that capture down. And I'm actually writing it down out of memory most of the times, like 90% of the time, because then that thing actually gets ingrained into my memory better, into my nervous system. And I do that because the knowledge that it has given me is like more available to me in comparison if I just um, write over it. And this capture and create method, by the way, the create style is what does that mean for me, or what kind of questions do I have which is a result of the thing that I just read, or a question that I have, as in how is this related from this point of view of David Hawkins to a different node that I have within my second brain mythology. And I want to go a little bit deeper with this. Um, and I'm having notes throughout the book. I have no idea how many, but let's see. Let's let's have fun together anyway. And one of the notes is I am not responsible for Other people's happiness. I thought that at the beginning that I was responsible for how that I needed to act in a certain way that other people could feel joy or incitement that they had a good time, something like that. And it really resonated with me because it is a layer that I relatively only shortly experienced, that I am not responsible for their happiness in a certain way. Um, it's totally outside of my boundaries, out of my capabilities. The best thing that I can do, that I believe currently, is me focusing on the best version that I can be as a human being, and with that showing the path for other people in how they could also like lean into that and grow into that being, because it's being an example based on, yeah, it's leading by example, not by judgment. And that's something that I've learned 2 years ago. That's such a powerful one for me internally. And here's a nice question that I also wrote down. So that's a create. How to release expectations on others. So what I often notice, one of my Achilles heel is judging others for their behavior. for not being there just yet, or not being aware enough comparison to what they could be, or not educated enough, or not, could be anything. And my invitation is releasing the expectations that I have on how other people react. And I'm actively practicing that to make that happen step for step. I do notice sometimes I get a fallback on that one. Then I write it down, and then improve upon my character in a certain way. Which Lifebook is very powerful on that one as well. But that's a topic for another time. Um, Beautiful, beautiful sentence. The kingdom of heaven is within you. And that's kind of like, let that a little bit sneak in. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Like we're all thinking, or at least it is the outside world, and we're building a kingdom in the outside world. But what David Hawkins talks about, and what really resonated with me, is that it is an internal state, and you feeling happiness and joyful in that state that you are in. So in that heavenly state that you have right here, right now. Love it. So that's a really big one. Good. Let's go to the next one. Yeah. If you're the quote itself is the what for questions to get the underlying emotion. I've written these notes half a year ago, I think now. And what I meant with this comment, it's quite nice to review this, because before the video I didn't really do that, just to plan as in, let me go look at all of my notes. Um, yeah, so the what for questions, if you're searching for your own internal motivations and experiencing those motivations, as in, I want a new car, or I want to have a house, or I want to have a girlfriend, or I want to have some other thing that you want to have in your life, like added value, quality in your life, then the invitation is to ask yourself, what for? Or someone else, by the way, but what for? I want a new house. What for? For a status? Could be, okay, I want to have it for a more spacious location. What for? To practice my hobby. What for? To feel better, or to feel more creation, for example, like creativity. What for? To feel better. Okay, what for? Yeah, like the new house is for you feeling better. And that's such a lovely state to be in, to really focus into like what for, be and then being in that state of that emotional me feeling better. Okay, great. And then you can draw that emotion to you right now, as in, how do you can you feel better now, like what's going on there. And then what I see, what I experience for myself, is a level of like a release that we're already here. If you're struggling with that, let's call it a first world problem, and then you can tune into the what force, then you can draw that emotion to you. It's a real powerful one. So, Hmm. And this is a very interesting one that I've written down in comparison to the like live feed that I'm giving right now. And that is called the goal is to the goal is distribution. How to get my value as soon as possible out to as many people as possible. It's partly what I'm doing here, like expressing, showing myself, sharing my thoughts, sharing my being. And for those, however limited that they are at this moment, who are listening and receiving value from that level, it's such an extra profound switch. That's what I'm doing, as in the goal is to distribute all of the beautiful, beautiful knowledge in such a book. And you seeing the added benefit, hopefully, on my end, and seeing that as an invitation into your own journey. As in, this is how Tim is experiencing it as a capture. And then it's on you on to create what does that mean for you internally. Such then the map of consciousness itself. I'm still and yeah, the next note goes about something specific. And it talks about energy centers. The energy centers can be measured. I don't really understand the depth of this at this moment, but I think what. No, let me pause that thought because that's something that I haven't really understood. Hmm. Yeah, quote. Let the emotion be until it runs out. If you're in that depressed state, if you're in that angerness state, if you're in that um, neutrality state, lean into it, experience that emotion, and the body will flush it out. Could be like tears, that's kind of like connected to that. So if you have that emotional state, breathe into it and let it be. Every time that we create resistance of, I'm not allowed to feel this, I'm not allowed to be this, then there is a limiting factor there, and that is the. Hmm, that was awful green in a second. That was strange. Um, yeah, so let the emotions be until it runs out. Yeah, I'm going to skip that one because that's complicated for now. I've written down handle a crisis emotionally instead of intelligently. This will massively reduce its duration. No idea what's happening with my screen, why it's a real strange thing. No idea. Sorry. I need to check that somewhere. That is automatically focusing on the color scheme is connecting. I have no idea why that's doing that. So handling a crisis emotionally instead of intelligently, it will massively reduce its duration of the crisis. So the example that they mentioned here, as in you losing your job, is that will create a crisis for most people, and then it's leaning into, or it's not leaning into, okay, what do I do now? What's the next step? What's the logical things like in this physical world? But it's losing your job. How does that make you feel? It could make you angry, like you weren't appreciated for the job that you are in. That's why you got fired, for example. This could be like release for you not having the job and not having to deal with the bosses, colleagues, or customers anymore. This could be a feeling of unsafety for not having that financial gain. This could be a feeling of um, unrest, worthlessness. Um, could be many things. And the invitation is to separate those emotional states and then really leaning into it, as in dealing by them one by one. Because then you'll find process inside of them. And I don't want to say that I'm doing perfectly and in all of these sections by far, but that's almost never with a book. This is a create. So this is my idea based on the knowledge that I'm reading. And it says, reframe the experiences of my past. I, same as everyone, has experienced some physical, what is it? Yeah, past, history. And the history itself, I cannot change it. But I can reframe my emotional reaction upon the stuff that changed. How did that happen? And not even how, but it's how did it make me feel that it happened? And reframing that in the knowledge that I have right now is a very important one. And this is from Frank Frankl? Victor, I think. Victor Frankl. Man's Search for Meaning. I think, like top of my mind. Because I kind of know the quote. Everything can be taken from a man but one thing. To choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. Such a powerful one. It is leaning into you are in control over which emotions that you are experiencing all of the time, because no one can take that away from you. No one, ever. And it draws that power back to you, like as an individual. Quite often, I'm imagining if you're watching this and if you're still watching this at this moment, that you're probably in the level of self development, mindfulness, happiness, trauma processing, shadow work, dealing with your own struggles that you have internally. And quite often I noticed, I asked, what exactly is shadow work? What does it mean for me? What does it mean for someone else? And in this book, he mentions, David Hawkins mentions, the shadow is all that we don't want to face. I find that such a powerful one. So if you're doing that shadow work, then it's leaning into the things that you're not able to look at just yet. Like, and it kind of sounds painful. That's why it's shadow work. And it's quite often that we think about stuff too quickly, or that we mention something as shadow work a little bit too quickly. But really leaning into, so that the depth of layer of what my shadow work is compared to someone else's shadow work, or vice versa, by the way. I'm really annoyed why the light is constantly green, yellow, green, yellow. Sorry, guys. Um, So the depth of one's shadow work can be way different compared to the depth of someone else's shadow work. I noticed it as well this weekend with the sweat lodge that I was in. Swatch, like sweating, sweat lodge. That the layers that I experienced were so, I don't want to call them deeper, but it's just different. Like my shadow works, my sides that I didn't want to look at were different comparison to what other people were experiencing, what they were feeling, what there were their own little demons. Like my demons, my shadow, my little corner of my consciousness is different comparison to what other people's corners of consciousness is. And it's the I want to emphasize it's not like a game or a competition, something like that. It's not like all the kudos to you if you're doing that stuff. Like no matter where you are in which corner of your own subconscious you're flashing a light on. But it's nice to be aware of that, as in the shadow is the thing that we don't want to face. Hmm. This is an interesting one. I wrote something down, and at that moment, it was something that I thought, believed in, or like followed. And now I'm thinking about it a little bit differently, and that's why it's an interesting one, which is stop resisting the positive emotions. To be honest, I thought that I was resisting my own positive emotions. And now I'm noticing that I'm like the positive emotions or the positive energy is always there, but it's only my physical body and my resistance that I have inside of my body that's holding it back from actually like popping out. The only thing that I need to do, hence the title of the book, like it's actually summarized there, is letting go. It's letting go of that resistance so that that energy can flow again, so that that positive emotion can flow. Because the energy in flow is positive emotion, is a higher vibrational emotion, which is connected to the map of consciousness of higher emotions. Such a powerful one. Hmm. Yeah, I talked about this one with a friend of mine, with Renske, and we talked about the how to say this properly. Certain words have layers, like weight on them, and the more negatively charged certain words are, the more heavy that they become. So, for example, like uh, curse curse words, like um, yeah, curse words. Is that the correct one? Like negative words have a negative charge within them. People are feeling worse because of it. But there are also things like, but I agree with you, but how often do you hear about that? Quite often. Like I agree with you, but up to this point. And that but is a limitation in that case, comparison to like it's stopping the emotion. It's stopping the emotional flow in a certain way. And that is but is there a version of, but here a different one, and it's kind of connected but not really. It says change your icons to I won'ts. Every time that you're saying something as in, oh, I can't run 5 miles. No, you won't run 5 miles. And the painful thing there is you're stepping out of a victim perspective into someone who's in power and chooses not to do that. Because you're choosing to not do that at that moment. If you're repeating that storyline to yourself, then you're reaffirming your victim state. And changing that from I can't to I won't will massively help you already with that growth. And they mentioned that as from level 50 to level 100. So to like being empathy? No, it's not empathy. Empath. Empathy. Yeah, it's kind of right. Empathy. I thought that empathy meant a different thing. But at least it's between those lower layers, as in that term, like level 50 until level 100. That and level 100 is still fear. Like instead of you not caring, as in I can't do that, I can't do that, I can't give a presentation for 100 people, I can't. No, you won't. And then you won't actually means that you're experiencing fear because of that. Because that's like, indeed, I won't. But then at least that power is inside of your hands again, inside of your capabilities. Such a powerful one. And what David Hawkins talks about, it's quite nice to go a little bit deeper upon that. He invites people to tune into their own emotional layers, and he mapped out like certain emotional states. And if you're in a certain state, then he has some exercises and things and tricks to get you from one state to the next one, and from one state to the next one state to the next one. Even though also that next layer could be not as fun, or at least could be painful as well, but it will make you feel better comparison to the one that you were beforehand. And that's a very interesting part. So the invitation as well is to let everyone experience their emotional state in their own speed. It is just us to give that room, to hold that space for the other person so he can thrive upwards and just live. He talks about negative garbage, like in the whole media. I mentioned it as well. Like, fear is media's biggest. Um, how did John mention this? Fear is media's biggest. What's the word? I don't know. Commodity? Commodity. Like, they are selling you fear. Every time that you're watching the news, they are selling you fear. Same goes as almost every, um, especially real life television, they are selling you fear or judgment or all of those negative layers. They're selling you that. And it's quite nice to look at that one and then like transcend that layer. And I just wrote down here create a book club with certain people for the David Hawkins books. I'm doing it a little bit different now, but if someone likes to have a conversation and talk about um, the books internally, like having this with a call, we'll do that with Riverside. Let's have a certain interview. Then please like reach out. Love to talk with you about it because with talking about it, we get more people in this container. Hmm. And this is also a nice one. Taking responsibility for our own consciousness, our own mind, where we want to focus upon. It is not something external, it is you choosing where you want to focus your energy in. That is in a certain way static consciousness, as far as I understand it. I could be wrong. Listen for insights, do not listen for agreements. It could be that you're thinking like, Tim, you're all mistaken. It's like BS all the way. Great. I love to invite you in because that's where I can learn the most. Like, really. Then invite me in. And like a bridge from the previous one, like consciousness is you choosing your focus and then choosing on that one, like acting upon that one. The other statement that they said is we are free to choose our own emotions. So that's kind of, you can choose to experience those negative ones and you can choose to experience those positive ones. It is just an invitation of yourself of where do you want to put your energy in or on. I think this was a very good one, but I don't remember exactly the premise in this one. It was a very good one. And it says grief is a fantasy of punishment that could have been prevented. Kind of need to check in on that one. Fantasy of punishment. I don't know. That's something that I'm not fully clear on that one. Hmm. Hmm. It is something that we're experiencing here in the West quite often. Is that state of we are what we have, like our physical things, the money that we have, the beauty that we have in a certain way as well, like physical fitness. But most often they mention that as material things, like all of the stuff that we have gained. And they like that's the first layer, and then the second layer it is what we do. What do you do with the things that you have? Like, are you creating a positive impact with the things that you do and what you like create with business, with help, with each other? Like, what do you do with it? And then there's a third layer, and that is what you are. So instead of you doing good things, then it's being good. Like that's a new layer that kind of ripples into everything. Every movement that you have, every interaction that you have with someone else, it is about being good instead of doing good or having good things. So those are three layers: that having, doing, and being, which is a very powerful one. Almost everything. It kind of loses its value when I'm saying about almost everything. It's kind of powerful. Oh, this is a practical one. Selfish. Yeah, everyone in our life is acting as a mirror. It's kind of true. However painful it is. Hmm. Anger kills the angry person, not the enemy. So if you're experiencing someone who is angry all of the time, the one that it is killing is the person who is angry themselves. And that's a painful one because there is a lot of anger inside of the family, as far as I'm seeing and experiencing. But I'm grateful for the contrast. Yeah. Um, okay, I kind of want to share this because this is a very good one. I think this was the moment. I think that this was the moment that AIM actually appeared, like AIIM. I actually wrote down beneath it action, information, and insight management with that arrow as in the goal of pointing up. It's kind of now the business that I'm running, if you want to call it a business, but the idea that's kind of like cultivating. And the thing underneath it here as well is um, how to do this properly in a big scale, as in how to change the behaviors in massive scale to have every vibrational state move one layer up, one layer up, move one layer up. Because it is possible. We just need to like plan, organize data analytics. It's just about doing. This is also a good one. Replace my with a. So not my opinion, but an opinion. So this kind of goes back to something that I know from Jordan Peterson. I think he was the first one that brought that to my attention. As in, people don't have ideas. Ideas have people. And when I am saying an opinion is, then I'm detaching that from the I, from the identity, as in it is my idea. It is an idea that currently is holding me, but I'm not attached to that idea itself. I've also read people who are very negatively charged, like controversial, no, like contradicting comparison to this one. So this is an opinion. This is an viewpoint. This is how David Hawkins looks at it. And I happen to really be in resonance with that storyline, with all of, well, many people that I have around me that I can help because of that, with the growth that I see appearing. And same goes with a lot of people that I see online. Um, Julian, I think, just Julian on Instagram. I think it was Julian. Yeah, and Teal Swan. I don't know specifically if she read this book as well, but that's a different story. But no, that's not a different story. I need to say this correctly. But basically, you don't have ideas, but ideas have you. And the challenge thing is to disconnect yourself from every idea itself and then see, hey, is this idea actually helping me or holding me back from to grow from the values that I have internally, that you feel internally, like really tuning into that emotional state. Already 40 minutes in. This is fun. Oh, dat was een practical note. Holographic paradigm. No idea what I meant with that. Hmm. Oh, that's such. I want to go a little bit deeper on a specific page because I just saw a note regarding the state of the state of lovingness. The state of lovingness is the most powerful of all survival tools. Like the story goes, let's say, for example, we have parked our car, and just as we get out, the car parked in front of us backs up into our car with a thud. Our bumper and the front of our fender has are tinted. Here is what the different levels of consciousness might sound like. So a certain situation on the outside happens, like two cars kind of bumped into each other. And now with the storyline, he goes over the different reactions that people have based on that map of consciousness. And I want to invite you to listen into the state of how do I react upon this myself if something like this happens, and the yeah, seeing like what do you see the average of the people out there? How do most people react on a certain state? First one, how embarrassing. I'm such a lousy driver. I can't even park a car. I'll never amount to anything. So that's a layer of shame. That's the lowest one. Guilt. I had it coming. How stupid am I? I should have done a better job of parking. That's taking the blame inside of him. Then that empathy. I really think that I'm mispronouncing the word. What is the use? Things like these always happen to me. I probably won't collect on the insurance anyway. There's no use talking to the guy. He he'll just sue me. Life stinks. I've been in that state for a very long time. Yeah. Grief. Now the car is ruined, ruined. I still need to practice my ruined. It will never be the same. Life is grim. I will probably lose a bundle of this one. Fear. This guy is probably furious. I'm afraid he'll hit me. I'm afraid to talk back to him. He'll probably sue me. I'll probably never get the car fixed right again. Cars repair, car repair people always rip me off. The insurance company will probably get out of this one, and I'll be the one left holding the bag. Partially, like this is also like practice because practice makes progress, like Jim Quick says, instead of makes perfect because there's no real such thing as perfect. We're just improving in every level of being, but different story. Desire. I can make a bundle on this one. I think I will hold my neck and fake a whiplash. My brother-in-law is a lawyer. Will sue the pants off this idiot. I'll get a settlement from the highest estimate and get it fixed at a cheaper place. So being in that state of desire for more money to get most of it. Anger. The damned idiot. That's quite nice to say. The damned idiot. I think I'll teach this guy a lesson. He deserves a good punch on his nose. I'll sue his pants off and make him suffer. My blood is boiling. I feel shaky with rage. I could kill the bastard. It's quite nice because I've never really were comfortable with reading out loud, especially in English. And now that I'm growing my skills slowly, I notice I get like enthusiastic more and more, as in, this damned idiot. Like I'm playing a little bit of a role there, which is quite fun. Good. Anger. Pride. Look where you're going, you fool. Oh God, the world is full of such gambling idiots. How dare he damage my new car? Who the hell does he think he is? He's probably got a cheap insurance. Thank God mine is the best. So that's in the state of pride. We see a lot, or at least I see a lot of people who are in that, which kind of means that I'm in that as me being a mirror of my own expectations. uh, Courage. Oh well, we got both got insurance. I'll take down data and handle it okay. A nuance, but I can handle it. I'll talk to the driver and get it settled out of court. So courage, like courageous, good. Neutrality. These things happen in life. You can't drive 20,000 miles a year without an occasional fender bender. Just like, okay, neutrality. Willingness. And if you're not aware of the map of consciousness, neutrality is kind of that. Sorry, yeah, courage, between courage and neutrality. That's kind of that break even point towards um, giving energy, giving positive energy instead of taking it. He really explains it very properly in Power versus Force, but that's kind of like the break even point in comparison to the angerness, negative feelings, and then giving love and giving energy. Good. Willingness. How can I help the guy calm down? He doesn't need to feel he doesn't need to feel upset about this. We'll just exchange the necessary insurance information and be okay with each other. So that's about just helping the other people out, other person out. Acceptance. It could have been worse. At least nobody's hurt. It's only money anyway. The insurance company will take care of it. I suppose the guy's upset. That's only natural. Such things just can't be helped. Thank God I'm not running this universe. It's only a minor nuance. Yeah, nuance. So it's only a minor nuance. Reason. Let's be practical here. I like to take care of it as quickly as possible so I can get on the way, so I can get on with the day's activities. What's the most efficient way to resolve our problem? So just like very reasonable, just take care of the practical things. Fine. Love. I hope this guy's I hope this guy isn't upset. I'll calm him down. Says to the other driver. Relax, it's all okay. Both got insurance. I know how it is. It happened to me just the same way. It is just a minor dent, and we got it fixed in a day. Don't worry. We won't report it if you don't want to. We can probably deduct it and avoid a raise in the insurance premium. There's nothing to be upset about. So it's being in that state of love, especially if the other person is upset or a little bit rattled up, then responding that with love. Um, Peace. Well, isn't this uh, futurous, fortuous? I was going to have a rattle on the bumper fixed anyway, and the fender already had a little dent. So now I'll get it fixed for nothing. Say, aren't you George, brother-in-law? You're just the guy I wanted to see. I have great business that I think you can handle for me. We'll both benefit. You look like the right person to research for us. How about a cup of coffee? So that's it's finding the opportunities in a physical situation that happens beneath that. And what I noticed is I and other people around me talk a little bit more on intuition and manifestation. Like sometimes these little synchronicities happen with that underlying, more impactful thing that kind of needs to be resolved. Like, then we get into the whole quantum physics level, which is a very interesting and deep one. And then we get into like manifestation, like creating the world, creating the world around you. Very, very interesting power to experience. And then I think we're getting on the last. Oh, not even that. That was it. So this was a very, very good ending. Um, Thank you very much. If you listened to me to this book review of Letting Go, my version of it and my experience of it. I want to do the same thing with Power versus Force, and perhaps Ask and It Is Given, maybe as well. This is perhaps also a very powerful one to kind of lean into, to accept, to show that to others. Because I'm in a certain community that really suggests a lot of books to each other. As in, wow, this book really meant a lot to me. I personally don't or barely do that anymore. I just focus on like me rereading it and then creating a video out of that. So every time that I'm suggesting, if I'm suggesting it, then I would just send this video recording right now of Letting Go. And then, hey, like, I understand that you don't have 8 hours. To be honest, you need like 30 for this one. I understand that you don't have that, as you have a very busy life, and perhaps it's not the correct video for you right now or the correct book for you right now. But I would invite you to listen to this for an hour long in this conversation, um, as it really helped me, and like because I'm referring that to that person already knows me, so they know from which position that I'm in, and then that power actually becomes better. So the invitation here is, if you have a certain book that really resonated with you personally, then create a video out of that. With that video, post it somewhere. You can post it as unlisted, so only the people that you send that link to will see it. You don't need to do this publicly, but it will accelerate the value that you're giving. Like if you're that person who often makes book references, then it will add that value on your life as well. Like what are you benefiting? What are you giving? Because it's all just about watching something and repackaging it into new pieces of content based on your insights. Especially that your insights, it's an important one. So stop like quoting other people's life and just sharing it on Instagram, please. But it's about having that post there and then you telling your audience how did that resonate with you, because there is that true value for your own being. So I want to close it off with this one. Yeah, 57 minutes. So it has been a long video. I didn't expect it to. What will I do with the rest of my evening? I don't know. We'll see. Thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your day. Bye bye.